Welcome back to Chaos Corner, here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. It's me. It's the GOC, coming to you live to tape 25 feet below the surface of the earth. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Another special edition of Story Time. Here on the weekend, it's Sunday, and there's a lot of crazy things going on in this world in 2024. It's been one heck of a summer for 2024, am I right? I'm here to provide some relief and distraction for you guys and for me. So I can't thank you enough for swinging by the channel. We're going to do 3, 4, 5 episodes today. I've already put up 2. This is the 3rd. Who knows where it will lead us? But much love and respect from everyone showing up here. Shout out to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because if He's for us, no one else is against us. Live in faith, not in fear. Stay mentally, emotionally, physically, and especially spiritually fit. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Be kind to others and treat them how you want to be treated, because it's all going to come back. We don't know what's going to happen. Grab your soda pop and your popcorn for this real-life movie that we're living in, and enjoy another edition of Story Time here on Chaos Corner. The channel's exploding and booming with over 20,000 viewers tuned in last week. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw to offer you the fans. This channel is no better than anyone else's. It's just unique, and I put the fucking work in. Uploading on a slow week, 30 videos a week, and on the average about 50, and on a busy week, 60 to 80 videos, plus my live reporting on all my other social media platforms, including here on the community page. So drop an elbow on that like button. You're on the fastest, hottest, rising, growing, independent show on this all of YouTube. Because this isn't a fucking podcast. It's a show. And go read the bio up top, and you'll find out what the fuck I'm all about and who you're really watching. And I apologize for the cussing. I really do. Trust me, it just happens. It comes across, and I do apologize. But we gave fave, man. Lighten up. Stand by. We are in the middle of reviewing, reading, and telling stories for Business is About to Pick Up. 50 of the greatest calls or stories over 50 years of wrestling by the legend himself, good old JR, Jim Ross. Everywhere I go, people are talking about Mid-South Wrestling. March 20th, 1982, the debut of Mid-South Wrestling at the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. Now remember, this book was released just a few short years ago in 2022. So we are in a time machine to go forward, to go back. Working in professional wrestling is almost like a relay race, where those of us who work in it get on the track and run for as long as we can before passing the baton to the next person to keep it going. The difference for us is the race is never ending, and sometimes the hand that's passing you the baton doesn't want to let it go. And as you fans know, with my over 50 years as a researcher, a historian, a scout, an agent, a producer, a mark, that's right, I said it, a mark. And of course, my well over 3 decades in this business as a pro wrestling manager, broadcaster, color commentator, a commissioner, a story writer. And I took the fucking bumps too as an independent pro wrestling manager. Over 200 matches a year, booked over 100 times a year, came out 2 and 3 times on every event that I was on with my stable of men. Remember that at 60 years old, into my and who I am and what I'm all about and why you're here. This is reality. I let you into my home to let you know what I'm all about. Forget all the persona. This is me, the GOC. Just wanted to throw that out there. As we read all these stories and do these reviews and live reporting and the over 3,000 videos on this channel, you'll know who I am. and why you're here and why this channel is unique in its niche way. And if I haven't said it before, I'm going to say it again. Shout out to my moderators, Austin Nance and the OTS Tribal Queen, because without them, I wouldn't be able to pull this off as much as I do. Thankfully, it wasn't like that for me, to quote Jim Ross. I had been picking up pockets of broadcasting experience here and there in the NWA tri-state. But each time I sat at the comment table there, Reeser Baldwin would come back a match or two later, tanned and relaxed in the position rightfully would return to him. Then along came the 80s when transition was in the air, the territories, and the system that tied them together. We're in the midst of change thanks to expanding national cable TV coverage. The iron grip of ABC, NBC, and CBS was slipping. And as more channels came from more places, the promise of cable TV sounded a dinner bell to all the ambitious and savvy promoters across the territories. Remember, we're reading this together, live, in real time, for the very first time. So if I rumble and stumble or fuck up a few times, you guys can understand that. I usually do anyway, man. A new national race began in wrestling to see who could dominate these new national pathways first. The year 1982. At that point in my career, or in my life, because I was not yet on my 40-year journey, which began in 1983. So the year prior to this, I'm 19 years old, approaching 20 years old, to put that into perspective. The old man brand, the over 50, 60 demo god. You're looking at him, man. Who still has the passion to do this and the energy to come across to you people like I do at this stage. I want you to think about that. I'm humble about that. But that's the reality of it. Love, motivation, and passion for my industry, my business, our industry. For all you younger fans out there. My demographic at one time was exploding to 40% between the ages of like 23 and 38, somewhere around there. Now I see that my demographics are changing. It's the over 40, over 50 crowd. Female demographics at one time were at 25% on this channel. It's dropped down to about 7%. The United States at one time was 80% of my audience. Now it's only 40 or 50%. As 30% of you are from Japan, India, the UK, and Canada, and all points in between. We truly are global here on Chaos Corner. I digress. The year 1982 gave the world Nike Air Force One, the Commodore 64, Blade Runner, E.T. Phone Home. You get it with E.T., right? Thriller. And Bud Light. No, not the girl. On that thing. No, the Iron Sheik. Let's not get crazy here. You see, I'm up on all the latest trends, right? Who else does this, man? Entertainment personified. Focus, Chaos. Focus. It was also the year my future boss at All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan, was born. 1982. Let that marinate. And the year my former WWE boss, WWF, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, bought the World Wrestling Federation from his father, Vince Sr., and promptly saw a weekly national telecast on the USA Cable Network, which debuted the following year. Vince was new, but already defiantly and directly challenging the old school way of doing business, as he split from the NWA. His father had split from them in 1963 before rejoining in 1971. And that's why you guys are here. So when you go to the next barbecue or venue or outing or go to work or the water cooler, the pub, the bar, the tavern, wherever the fuck it is that you end up, you know history and facts, and you can relate something to the conversation and know what the fuck you're talking about. That's why you come to this channel. And again, the cussing is out of control. I get it. It's a holy day, which should be every day, and I do repent for it, and I do mean that. That's not a work. That's a shoot, man. I'm really trying to work on that. Especially when we heard Pastor Graham tell the former president, who's probably going to be the next president, hey, listen, tone it down a little bit. You don't have to cuss so much. Great words coming from Reverend Graham, or whether it be Pastor Paul Begley or Pastor Anthony George or Pastor David Jeremiah, the different folks who I listen to, Pastor Andy McDaniel, and the guys that I listen to for the good word besides opening up the book. And I don't want to make this too religious. I'm here for a distraction, but you know what I'm talking about, man. Being a good person, being a good Christian. Once again, I have to say this at 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in. What a special number. Focus, Chaos, focus here. We're in the Mid-South. We're in the deep Mid-South right now on Chaos Corner. Like I said, Vince split from the NWA, and his father had split in '63 before rejoining in '71 to build his own national brand. McMahon's aggressive strategy involved immediately crossing the boundary lines into other wrestling territories while trying to buy up their syndicated programming. Back home in Oklahoma, change was also coming fast down the pike. And with old ways beginning to creak, change was a hard pill for the lifers to swallow. None more than the NWA stalwart Leroy McGuirk. And I had a chance just last year in 2023 to meet his daughter, legendary ring announcer from the WWF, Miss Mike McGuirk. What a lady to meet her at the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which you guys know I was inducted into the class of 2019. And then to be at FanFest 8 and to be able to listen to her speech live as she was inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and then be able to chat and pick her brain. The unbelievable Miss Mike McGuirk, the former WWF ring announcer, an NWA stalwart, her father who ran Mid-South, Leroy McGuirk. And that's why you're here, because of my connections as an insider and what I experienced and what I accomplished and did in this business and how it relates to history and current day. Pretty simple if you break it down as an explanation. Hello, McFly, is anybody home? Before he ever booked a match, Leroy had a stellar career as the longest reigning light heavyweight NWA champion in history. And he did it all with one eye. He'd lost sight in one eye as a kid before a car crash robbed him of his sight in his other eye as an adult. After blindness forced him into competitive retirement, Leroy found his power as a promoter and higher up in the National Wrestling Alliance. Talk about overcoming adversity. Not only good old JR, Leroy McGuirk as well, and as all of us in our own personal lives, because we all can relate to this. All of us, and you know I'm talking to you. But even though he was the majority owner of NWA Tri-State, the overall direction of the company was handled by his forward-thinking booker and minority owner, the legendary badass Cowboy Bill Watts. Fans, if you don't know the history of the UWF Mid-South, go back and check it out on here on YouTube. It's unbelievable footage. Talk about pro wrestling. Talk about real. Talk about hard hitting. There was nothing like it. You understand what I'm talking about. Cowboy had been a top heavyweight draw for McGuirk before leaving to headline for the New York and Minnesota territories. When Tri-State's business fell off, Leroy asked Watts to come back home. And Bill, the ever-working businessman, saw a path to making about the same money for a lot less travel. He would return, but not only as a wrestler, he also wanted to be paid for running the shows as the booker and get a slice of the overall company too. Kind of like my home company at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling with Mario Mancini and Pretty Paul Roma. Two men that worked under the guidance of the WWF and WCW for my home company. Owner, booker, Head trainer, that's Mario Mancini and Pretty Paul Roma at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling on all social media platforms. Here in the greater New England tri-state Northeast area, in the shadows of Titan Towers, Leroy knew his stinking ticket sale, that his shrinking ticket sales were inviting the wolves to gather outside his company door. So he and Bill shook hands on a deal. And boy, it worked. Watts did what he said he would do and turned those shrieking numbers around. He created buzz, amassed a stellar roster, and put asses every 18 of those precious inches, which, because due to inflation nowadays, it's only 16 inches, and that's the truth. And Leroy never forgot him for it. This led McGurk to meddle so much that Bill left again in 1979 to go wrestle in Georgia and Florida before returning with an offer to buy Leroy out completely in 1982. As I give you the backstory here. And that's when Mid-South Wrestling was born. And to my surprise, Watts also had an offer for me at the time to be his full-time announcer. In between him leaving Tri-State in 79 and coming back in 82, I had been working on getting all the experience I could in broadcasting. Even handling the arena interviews for the first team rodeo concept for ESPN. I knew I wanted to work in this area more than any other, and Cowboy handed me that opportunity. With McGurk gone, Watts immediately withdrew from Leroy's beloved National Wrestling Alliance. Watts simply didn't want to kick up 7, perhaps 9% of the sole luxury of having the NWA champion come to his territory, especially because he knew he'd still have to pay the champ 5 to 7% directly for that same booking as well. Talk about double indemnity. Bill had the world champion's number. What did he need the NWA for? He told the old wrestlers and promoters who ran the NWA office that paying them a percentage didn't make sense because the NWA didn't promote, publicize, or put one extra ass in one of his seats. Bottom line, if you're not putting asses in seats, you're not making money, you're not drawing. Pretty simple. Watts was a genius, one of the best bookers of all time. One tough son of a bitch, too. But like all good breakup artists, he did give the NWA a reason to feel better about the split. When the government comes knocking on the NWA door, asking about a monopoly in professional wrestling, you could now use me as an example of how it's not. And that's what Watts told them. Because I'm going to book your champion directly, and you're going to let me do it. And so he did. On top of business, almost everything else changed and improved in quality under Bill's watchful eye, me included. Bill wanted every segment and match on a show to build someone up, and it was commentators' job, he told me, to help that building process happen. What I talk about all the time: emotional investment, ring psychology, storytelling, making people hang off that cliff and want to come back next week. It's just that simple. That's what this business was all about and should still be all about. At times, I guess it is. But a lot of times, it isn't. I'm just giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly here on the channel. I guess that lesson finally clicked for me during my very first Mid-South taping, as I got to experience firsthand what Bill wanted from his commentators when longtime announcer Boyd Pierce helped build my credibility for the people back home. You'll notice on my left a new face here on Mid-South Wrestling, Boyd began. He's our guest. I know some of his background. He's educated from Oklahoma State University and Northeastern State. His name, Jim Ross. Jim, we're glad to have you with us. But to continue his background, the only referee in amateur ranks to referee in the state of Oklahoma, basketball, football, and baseball. Now that's really something. And he's national commentator for ESPN Rodeo professionally. He has his own TV wrestling commentary shows in many areas. Quite the resume for good old JR, even back in 1982, and he's built it for the last 50 years to be on my Mount Rushmore with the likes of Gordon Soley, Lance Russell, good old JR himself, and the list goes on and on. we'll get on to a show about Mount Rushmores. Leave your thoughts in the live chat right now, the premiere here, on who your commentators are. Mount Rushmore, or who you enjoy. I grew up with all of them. I'll even throw in guys like Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura. The list goes on, and I know those are color commentator guys, but just to throw the names and the voices out there, whether it be someone like even a Rod Trongard from the AWA, Bob Cottle, even Schiavone back then was okay. So just different people from different areas. Even Crockett himself was a little over the top and kind of corny, but he was okay. And ladies and gentlemen, he called me up and said, Boyd, wherever I go, people are buzzing and talking about the enthusiasm and great grapplers you have on Mid-South Wrestling. And asked, could he come here to watch it in person? I was only too glad. I invited him not only to come here, but he will be our guest commentator. The veteran turned to me, the first day rookie, looked me in the eye and said, Jim, we welcome you wholeheartedly. And man, he meant it. Boyd used his years of trust and capital with our audience to help build me up and launch my career. That's about putting somebody over. That's giving somebody the rub. I took his lead and in turn began to build the product up. Whether everyone was actually talking about Mid-South or not, it was our job to make the new company in town seem like a happening. Mid-South Wrestling would go on to be a successful territory, but at this point, everything was new and rising, just like myself. You see, that mechanical bitch has still got heat with me, right? Shuts off, talks when she wants to, plays when she wants to, and I know she's listening to me. For all my regulars, you know who I'm talking about. Alexa, play Tropical Thunderstorm sounds. You bitch. No offense, man. Well, thank you very much, Boyd. It's a pleasure to be here in the great state. Everywhere I go, it's really the truth. People are talking about Mid-South Wrestling. The wrestling in the Mid-South area. I know many of you people see wrestling from other parts of the country on the cable and other overlapping television systems. And I think that the proof is there. The greatest wrestlers, the greatest matchups of competition are right here in the Mid-South area. And I'm very excited about this great card. That matchmaker, Grizzly the Pervert Smith, wait, I threw that in there, has prepared today. Some faces will be new to me, but many of them I've seen before, and it should be a very exciting hour. What'd I say, man? I watched the Viceland series or Vice series Dark Side of the Ring about Grizzly Smith, and you'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. I didn't say anything out of line. Lord, forgive me. But Boyd wasn't finished building me up or guiding me through what to say. At which parts of the storyline to focus on. Jim, before we get into the actual matches, I'm just a country boy, and all our viewers will tell you I love them, and I appreciate them all, just like I do here on Chaos Corner. But you can break it down with your knowledge that you've attained. You're a lot smarter than I am. I want you to tell them about the recent surgery of Ernie the Big Cat Lad. Break it down and explain to them in ways I'm sure they'll understand it. His last sentence stuck with me because that was the whole job, to break it down and contextualize what people were seeing in brief, memorable sound bites. And in the process to build people up, just like Boyd had gotten me over in his introduction from me to his audience. After 8 years as a referee, a ring crew guy, a driver, a little pair of eyes for our blind co-owner, and sometimes host and broadcaster, watching Boyd pass me the baton in such a gracious and enthusiastic manner made Cowboys' mantra that everything we do is to build something or someone. Click. And like JR just said right there in that line, you've got to do it all in this business. You've got to wear several hats. If you're a talent, you're a worker, always bring your gear with you. Always be prepared. Always be in the gym. Always be in the ring as much as possible. Learn everything if you want to be in this business, whether it be a manager, a ring announcer, a broadcaster, hitting the ring, being the bell keeper, the timekeeper. You got to sweep the floors, be a part of the ring crew, set up the ring, break it down, sell concessions, sell tickets, hang up flyers and posters, put it out on your social media. Learn the camera work, learn how to be a booker, learn the production, learn how to produce. Pick people's brains, shut up and fucking listen, and ask questions when you can. That's how you make it in this business, whether it be 1973, 83, 93, 2003, or 2023 into 2024. Into 2025. Let that be a valuable lesson from a guy. It's the only reason why I made it. Yes, I had a degree of talent. Yes, I could talk. Yes, I did everything, but that's why. I was valuable and an asset to the promoter and the booker and the company because I did everything I could to help to put the company over. That's not me. Excuse me. What, man? What? We're 25 minutes in here. Lighten up, man. We're down in the UW. We're in Louisiana. Tulsa. I finally realized what a commentator's role in the machine was. And it was a role that was now mine. So remember what I'm talking about here and what we're relaying because it holds true. Again, I apologize for the belching. I hope you found it at least entertaining in these insane times. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it.